This TCE Trims edition of the College Baseball Experience on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up today with the promo code TCESGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the College Baseball Experience. My name is Noah Bieniek, and today, back with TCE Trims, the new series of the College Experience. The goal of this is just to regularly upload episodes each week, pretty much trying to do every day now up until opening day of college baseball, which first pitch February 14th, whether that's going to be one of these TCE Trims news episodes, a team preview, which will begin this week, and maybe even the Holy Grail conference previews you're interested in. Those begin this Wednesday with the ACC conference preview and maybe even win totals episodes if we get win totals markets here dropping soon. So the TCE Trims series allows us to trim out the biggest news headlines and provide our own insight on and analysis on it all. Today, we saw the D1Baseball crew release their top 25, which I know there's a million of these things, but not only does this one carry the most weight when it comes to the NCAA and ESPN, but I find D1Baseball's set of rankings to be the most accurate and credible. Another thing that kind of punctuates the statement of being pretty credible is, immediately after we saw these set of rankings release, we saw BetRivers post power conference betting odds for the regular season. So we have outright odds now, and I'm going to give my instant analysis on both these this set of rankings here, the top 25, and also the opening odds for the conference power conferences. We have that kind of stuff to talk about as the chat is rolling along here. Julian, welcome. Chris Brady saying, hey, everyone. Justin Rainey saying he's a Gamecock fan. Keith Andres saying, what up, Noah? College baseball means warmer weather is on the way. Preach, my friend. And Cowboys fan asking me what college baseball team I played for. I played in NAI, so a really small school in Pittsburgh called Point Park. It was in downtown Pittsburgh there. So, yeah, let's jump into this top 25 here. D1Baseball has Texas A&M as the number one overall team. A lot of people are going to have A&M at the number one spot this winter. Virginia, too. And I really like this. I know Perfect Game, I think, had Virginia 3. I think Virginia is right there with Texas A&M as having the best lineup in college baseball, 1 through 9. Both of those lineups are pretty thunderous, in my opinion. LSU at 3, Tennessee at 4, Arkansas at 5. That's 4 SEC teams in the top 5 here, which is, kind of normal in college baseball nowadays, but still pretty damn impressive. North Carolina at 6. They were outside of the top 10 in perfect games released last Monday. That was one of the two big gripes that I had. Them and Arkansas, I talked about how they would be in my top 10. Here they are in D1Baseball's top 10. I got no issues pretty much at all with D1Baseball's top 25. Oregon State at 7, Georgia at 8, Florida State at 9, Florida at 10, Duke 11, Oregon 12, NC State 13, Wake Forest 14, Clemson 15, Vanderbilt 16, Oklahoma State 17, Mississippi State 18, Texas 19th, Dallas Baptist 20th, Arizona 21st, UC Santa Barbara 22nd, TCU 23, Nebraska coming in at 24, and rounding out this thing, they squeezed in a Sunbelt team at 25, Troy. Troy didn't make the NCAA tournament last year, but they squeak into the preseason top 25. I think there's plenty of talent on that team, but we need to see them kind of put it together for an entire season. So I think there was some people that were questioning that decision. personally, I was counting up the teams from the West Coast here in D1 baseball. I know they've got some representation on the West in the committee, the small committee that D1 baseball has, that they take into account their opinions. Um, Arizona squeaks in, Santa Barbara squeaks in the final five. I love the Arizona edition for what it's worth. Santa Barbara, I think Stanford's probably the one that I would sub in for Santa Barbara and or Troy. I think Stanford being left out of the top 25 in both D1 baseball and perfect games rankings here might be a miss at the end of the season. I think last year was just a rebuilding year, and good programs are allowed to have those. And I think Stanford's been a very, very good program lately in college baseball. So, yeah, like I mentioned, 4 SEC teams in the top 5. There are 9 total in the top 25, 7 total ACC teams in the top 25. All 7 of them are in the top 15. And like I said, the 4 from the West Coast, Oregon State being an independent team this year, they come in 7th. Never graduates, saying Dallas Baptist, big fan there of his, or he's a big fan there of DBU. And Justin Rainey saying, come on, Ray Tanner, Chris Brady. Is ECU ranked high? They're not ranked at all, unfortunately, for the Pirates fans there. I did comment on somebody asking, kind of me where ECU was, in my opinion. I think it's so my response was least talented. I want to walk that back a little bit. It's the least proven talent. Like, they lost a lot of production both in the weekend rotation and in the lineup. So we'll see what happens with East Carolina this season. I'm not going to doubt Cliff Godwin and the boys. I still think they probably win the conference, and that's not a bold take by any means. But I definitely don't think it's as, much of a cakewalk as it used to be for East Carolina, just because I think the other teams might be catching up or ECU might be falling back to the pack here. And if you're going to drop some games in conference in this quality of an AAC, as they lost UCF and Cincinnati, those two coming to mind, Houston as well. It's just not as strong last year and this year. The RPI of the conference as a whole has dropped a little bit. And if you're going to take a couple more losses in conference, you might be pretty tournament dependent at the end of the year here. But yeah, shout out to my guy, Johnny Venezia. You're going to see him and hear from him a lot more on this platform moving forward, as he is joining the college baseball experience team here. He has been hawking the market. Shout out to him. I mean, he was the first one to post to Twitter that, hey, we have golden spikes odds. And then he was also the first one to post that we had conference outrights betting odds today. So he's kind of been all over this. I am not so crazy about the individual player markets, just because I think it's more of a dart throw than your conference outrights for the regular season. I think there's a much more efficient way to handicap those. But for those that are interested, at least some of the top options here from the opening odds. Some of this may have changed over the last week here, but Jason Laviolette opened as the betting favorite at plus 400. Jamie Arnold at plus 600. Cam Canarella at plus 800. Then you had Ethan Petrie at 13-1. Max Ballou at 15-1, alongside Drew Burris and Jared Jones. Ryan Prager at 20-1. Dean Curley, Andrew Fisher at 25-1 there, both of them from Tennessee. Rintaro Sasaki at 30-1. Ethan Conrad of Wake Forest at 40-1, alongside Harrison Didowick from Virginia. So those were kind of the opening front runners to win the Golden Spikes here over on BetRivers. So yeah, I mean, great to see these markets opening sooner than ever before. And I'm gonna dive in with my instant analysis on some of these conference outright futures right after this break. Go over there and download the SGPN app right now for free. It's in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. You can go over there and look at our free picks. You can listen to the entire catalog of SGPN podcasts over there. The SGPN app, free to download in Google Play and Apple app stores. And also playoffs. Playoffs. We're talking about playoffs. You bet we are. And get in on the action over at DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the NFL. Scoring touchdowns is key to winning in the playoffs, and you can score big by betting on them at DraftKings, the number one place to bet touchdowns. Ready to place your first bet? Try betting on something simple like a player to score 6. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app and make your pick. New DraftKings customers can bet $5 to get up to $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code SGP. That's code SGP for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
Problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
SGPN is also partnered up with America's Ultimate Social Casino, Stake.us. Stake.us is a free-to-play social casino available in most states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. All your favorite games are there, and even play with live dealers. Use the promo code SGPN at sign-up, and you get 250K gold coins, which can be used to play the free-to-play games, and $25 stake cash, which can be played and redeemed for real cash. Stake.us promo code SGPN. That's Stake.us promo code SGPN. And Underdog Fantasy has Underdog Pick'em, which has one of the biggest menus for all of fantasy sports. Underdog is always making it easier to win with profit boosts and gimme pick'ems. Underdog Playoff Best Ball is now live. The Gauntlet Tournament has $2 million in prizes up for grabs for just a $25 entry. NFL, college football, college basketball, MMA, NBA, NASCAR, NHL, and more. You can now use specials and boosts on all flexed entries. So go over there and sign up today with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN for $1,000 in bonus cash. Never graduate, talking about how the Shriners Children College Showdown is loaded this year. The Shriners is always loaded. College Baseball Showdown series, those that are taking place in Arlington this year and the last couple of years, they're always loaded. I'm so excited for these in-season tournaments to get us kicked off here in the college baseball regular season. So, displayed during the ad read, check out Softball America's top 25 rankings as well. They got Florida at number 1 here in the preseason. But what we're talking about on the back half of this episode is these conference outrights that were just released today. My initial takeaway from this, guys, it is very refreshing to see, in my opinion, more fair prices from at least BetRivers on these college baseball conference outright markets. Because I remember last year chomping at the bit at just wanting to get Oregon State to win the Pac-12 at like plus 120, Wake Forest to win the ACC at plus 200, and Wake Forest was, I believe they were the number 1 team in the preseason last year, looking at just in the ACC, just to compare year after year. Virginia, number 2 in the country in D1Baseball's top 25, and they're priced at plus 500, which I think is pretty correct. As we saw last year, the ACC kind of cannibalized itself a little bit there. And the SEC, there are plenty of quality teams in this conference. So I think it is a little refreshing to see some more fair value odds. It's a step in the right direction. I know that the limits might not be where we want them to be, but for a niche market, I am cool with just getting these odds out there quickly, and then hopefully the limits grow as they start to see, okay, these are the early bettors, these are the teams that they want to play, and then they'll expand the limit as it grows along. And they'll do that if they get the amount of bettors that the amount of action that they're wanting to see. And I'm hoping that's going to be the case. But yeah, for me, I'm holding off a little bit, hoping to get a little bit more down here in the preseason come around February time, hopefully. That's my current attack of a lot of these. So let's jump into the SEC in these betting odds right now. So we got Texas A&M opening as the favorite here at plus 600. Again, super fair in my opinion. Number one team in the country, according to D1Baseball. It opens today at plus 600. I am not complaining whatsoever. LSU at 7-1 alongside Tennessee, Arkansas plus 800, Florida plus 900, Georgia, Texas, Vanderbilt all at 10-1, Kentucky, Mississippi State, and those and Oklahoma at 15-1, Alabama, South Carolina at 20-1, Auburn at 2,500, Ole Miss 30-1, Missouri 50-1 is the longest shot here in the SEC. Like I said, relatively fair value. I'm not going to complain about it. I do kind of like Texas A&M as of right now. They are the number one team for a reason at plus 600. I think that's pretty interesting. I also would consider Georgia at 10-1 as a look here at the current price. Just because I really do believe in Wes Johnson as more of a pitching coach. Last year, the pitching staff really kind of got beat up by injuries, some suspensions in Maracna's case. But they went out and hammered the transfer portal once again. The offense kind of are going to look to replace Charlie Condon in the aggregate. So we'll see how that goes. I think Georgia's a nice look for an up and comer. If Wes Johnson can get the Bulldogs to be a winning program in the SEC, that's just going to be churning out, good season after good season left and right. And I think the Bulldogs might be, they'll be sooner or later players in Omaha for sure. I think the schedules this year, we saw them released back in September or October, whenever it was. I think the schedules this year are relatively balanced in the Southeastern Conference. I tried looking through it and see if there's anybody that has a real favorable schedule. I didn't see any real favorable schedules this year. I think they're all kind of equal gauntlets for everybody, for every team in this conference. So yeah, my takeaway here: offense is probably going to carry the day once again in this conference. It's kind of the most consistent thing that you can bank on. And that's if the baseballs haven't been swapped out, as we do believe that the college baseball is supporting this large increase of offense recently in these past years. The ACC is the next one that I want to talk about, and I'm so excited for the ACC. Like I said at the beginning of this show, 7 teams from the ACC in the top 15, and I think that's pretty accurate as the talent at the top of this league. I don't know if it's been better in this last decade here. I think they are once again poised to compete with the SEC in Omaha in June. Again, I think there's pretty fair value all over the board in this league. Like I mentioned, Virginia at plus 500 is your betting favorite right now. Florida State at plus 550, North Carolina at 6-1, Clemson plus 700, Wake Forest plus 900, Duke, NC State at 10-1, Georgia Tech, Miami, Stanford at 15-1, Louisville at 20-1, Virginia Tech plus 2,500, Cal 40-1, Boston College and Notre Dame at 50-1, and Pittsburgh bringing up the rear at plus 7,500. Like I said, Virginia might have the best offense in the country. Traditionally, the ACC's pitching hasn't been as strong and stellar top to bottom as some pitching staffs in the SEC. So I think there are plenty of opportunities for Virginia's offense to be able to win these high-scoring ball games in this conference. But if there was a team that you wanted to play more of a stronger pitching staff, let me point you into North Carolina's direction, as they returned plenty of their pitchers from their Omaha squad last year. Duke, I really like their price probably the most out of any of these teams here. Duke at 10-1. I think Chris Pollard's really building something there, and they have so much depth everywhere. They might not have the true star talent, but it's just depth. Just they go probably 10 arms deep, and they've got 2 extra infielders that could probably start in most of the other infields in the ACC, and their outfield's pretty crowded too. This Wednesday, we are doing ACC conference preview. Highly encourage you guys to tune in for that here. We're going to move on to the next conference, which would be the Big 12 that we have betting odds for. Oklahoma State is the betting favorite here at plus 300. Arizona plus 500 alongside TCU. Then we got Texas Tech at plus 600, West Virginia at 7-1, Arizona State at 8-1, Kansas State and UCF at 15-1, Houston, Kansas at 25-1, Cincinnati at 30-1, Baylor at 40-1, and BYU finishes it out at plus 5,000. I think the odds makers got this one pretty right. Oklahoma State, Arizona, TCU is my 1, 2, 3 in this conference. The 2 dark horses that I have here are Arizona State. I think they're a really talented bunch once again this year under Willie Bloomquist. It's just whether or not he's going to be able to get these guys firing on all cylinders, as that's been, they haven't been a very consistent squad in recent years under him. So Arizona State's not a bad look here. They are 8-1, and I also really like UCF. I think they might be low-key the most complete team in this conference and might be able to contend for a title, in my opinion. So them, and if you're looking for an extreme long shot, I'm a huge Jordan Bischel fan at Cincinnati. He was the old Central Michigan ball coach that led the Chips to the NCAA tournament a few years ago. I think he's building something with the Bearcats, and also Kansas. They are hammering the JUCO route and bringing in plenty of talent from there. We're going to finish this thing up with talking about the Big Ten. Big Ten opening conference betting odds are Oregon as your betting favorite at plus 300, as they were a top 15 team in the D1 baseball rankings. Nebraska snuck into the top 25 at 24. They are plus 600. Indiana's plus 700, USC plus 800, UCLA plus 900, Iowa at 10-1, Illinois, Maryland, Washington at 15-1, Michigan at 20-1, Ohio State and Purdue at 30-1, Penn State plus 4,000, Michigan State, Minnesota, and Northwestern all tied for last there at 50-1. Look, I think Oregon has the most program momentum right now under Coach Mark Wasikowski. They have back-to-back super regional appearances. They're knocking on the door of Omaha. They are the rightful favorite here. Nebraska probably returns the most complete team in the Big Ten, in my opinion. Teams to keep an eye on here, in my opinion, Maryland's ran this conference for the last half decade. They are the old guard, as the new West Coast teams, I think, improves this conference exponentially. Those Pac-4, Oregon, Washington, and the Pacific Northwest, and the 2 LA schools, UCLA and USC. I think they improve this conference tenfold. But I really like Michigan and Penn State. Michigan and Penn State both finished the season super, super strong last year in relatively new regimes for both. In the coaching staff I'm talking about there. Michigan returns quite a few important pieces from the lineup, and also top 2 pitchers from last season. Penn State, a lot of lineup returning, and they added Paxton Kling. He's kind of a pick to break out this season, as he didn't quite, work out at LSU. Looking for a great chance to rebound kind of in his hometown, home state, home school type thing, returning there. So I think Penn State at 40-1 is kind of crazy. I would recommend that in Michigan for sure there. And that's going to wrap up this episode. A little bit longer of a TCE trims that we usually go to, but I just wanted to instantly get my analysis out there for people that wanted to, bet the market ASAP. And like I said, the limits aren't too big. You're not going to be able to get a whole lot down here, but the more that people show that they want to get action in on these type of markets in college baseball on sports books, the more we're probably going to be able to get them, which is amazing. And I'm really rooting for that and hoping that happens here with college baseball, as that's only going to grow this sport. And that's what we all want at the end of the day. That wraps up this episode of TCE Trims. If there's a topic that you guys, the listeners and viewers, would like to hear more from me on, leave it in the YouTube comments below, or hit me up on Twitter/X at NoahB77_, or the show's Twitter account at TCE on SGPN. I'm going to be here every day throughout the offseason, providing daily news episodes, team previews, or conference previews, which will begin this Wednesday with the ACC here on YouTube. We will have all of those sorted into a nice playlist for you guys that are strictly looking to binge college baseball content in this preseason here. Also in the various playlists, you can find the college basketball experience, the college football experience, the Big 12 college experience. And if you scroll our YouTube channel a little bit further, you can find more SGPN shows, as we have something for everybody, whether it be the NBA Gambling Podcast, the MMA Gambling Podcast, the Golf Gambling Podcast, the F1 Gambling Podcast, the NHL Gambling Podcast, or if you want one main show that dips their toes in every big event while also hitting home on the NFL, check out the flagship show, the Sports Gambling Podcast. Do us one more favor as we head out of here. Drop a like, hit that subscribe button, leave us a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts. This has been the College Baseball Experience. You better start thinking about yours, and we are out of here.